All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Unicorn Right. We are live here, northwest side of Chicago at Locke Elementary School. Picket lines continuing. Day 12 of the strike. This is the 8th day. Kids have been out of class. It's been there's a lot of information that happened over the weekend. You can check out our post, which is live now. Should be in the links of whatever you're watching here. And we're going to see. We have Jesse Sharkey, the CTU president, scheduled to speak here. We're going to see what he has to say.
Everyone here is going to read what we have, and there's been a lot of like, oh, what about your House of Delegates? Well, the way that's going to work is we're going to get an agreement, we're going to publish it so everyone can read it, and then an elected representative or two, or three in some cases, but from every single school in the city is going to come together, discuss it, and take a vote, and that's the way that's going to work. So, there's not going to be two sets of books. It's going to be like, does the offer actually make things better in our schools?
Jesse, you say 38 million. CPS says it's closer to 100 million. What's the discrepancy? Why is it so far apart?
I don't know. I got a bunch of math teachers in our membership.
One right behind you.
And they're, CPS's math in this, I don't know how they're calculating it. I've been very clear, though, that, of the $38 million, there are at least a couple items in there that have compounding effects. So maybe they're giving us a total number, or they're talking about how it compounds. I'll give it. So we're still asking for some increases in staffing that phase in. And so, if you hire 20 staff one year, and then you hire 20 more, and then you hire 20 more, there's a cost to that. But I don't get their math. And if you think about it, their math has been a pretty shifting target, because they've said that the CTU has demanded $2.5 billion a year. No, we haven't. That's never been the way we've counted our demand. She said, I'm not putting any more money into this contract. Yes, she has. Things have moved at the table. So there's been a lot of claims about it, and you're going to have to ask her that one, to ask her to show it to you in writing, show you the math. Oh, wait, she was also claiming that we're all going to make $100,000. Yeah, right. Let me do a little demonstration here, okay? Real talkative one. If you make $100,000, raise your hand.
Or near it. Right.
Okay. So this is an entire crowd of teachers, right? How many people in here have advanced degrees more than just a bachelor's degree? Raise your hand. Okay. How many people here have been here more than 14 years? Raise your hand. Okay. So this is a crowd of the highest paid teachers that we have in the city, and none of us make over $100,000. Now let me tell you something about the way averages work, right? An average is if you take the highest people and the lowest people and you add them all up and you divide by how many people you got, right? It's the kind of number, it's sometimes in the middle, right? It can be a little deceptive, because if you add up, how much money you have and how much money Bill Gates have, and you add it up and you divide by 2, it seems like you're both billionaires, even though, right? So that's an average too. So you can trick people with averages, but the truth of the matter is that no one here is making that kind of money. And then if you add it in with the people who are starting at 50, the actual real picture of how much people make is totally different than this lie talking point they've done. And that's what I'm saying. You can advocate, you can go in the press, and you can have a clever sounding talking point. But that's maybe what a lawyer can do if you're going to put the decision off on a judge. But, now the mayor has got to land a contract. And so all these words that she's been saying, those words are not helping us land a contract. They're not helping us actually get a deal that opens schools. So get a deal that opens schools.
Yes.
Open the schools.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, is the conversation of making up school days for students happening? Are we talking about that, or is that being discussed?
It's a good question. For us, making up school days is about the fact that we deliver a curriculum. We're not just in there marking time and trying to get through from one fall through the following summer. We have things we have to teach. Every single person in here has a plan that we're responsible for, and that actually the state and state law requires that there be certain content that we teach in order to be prepared for assessments and tests that we're also held responsible for, right? And that's part of how we're evaluated as teachers, that we actually teach something, right? So we're involved in a work stoppage. And that work stoppage is about what the conditions are going to be like in our buildings for the next 5 years. We don't make up school days because we're trying to, win points or punish someone else. right? Maybe that's what the mayor's trying to do, win points and punish someone else. But we make up school days so that we can actually teach the material that needs to get taught to students, so at the end of the year they can say, yep, I graduated, I can do those things, that's what's needed to do. That's why we make up school days. So, our position is that we need to make up school days so that we can do the job. Unless the mayor's position is that it doesn't matter how long school days are, right? In which case, why can't we solve some of the issues that we've got on the table, right? But, come on, stop being punitive and let's get a deal done.
Open the school.
Do I think we're closer to a deal? I think that we've made some progress on a couple of issues. I think we can get settlement on class size and staffing. We need a little bit more resources there. We're not that far apart, and I think that they've gotten real religious on respecting some of our veteran teachers and on the time that teachers need to do our jobs.
What do you mean real religious?
I mean, they're like saying, no, we're not talking about that. We're not bargaining about it. Like, we're hard no on those issues. So, but that's not a very big list of issues at this point. So the good news is that, like, in terms of the really difficult sticking points, it's not a very long list. But the bad news is that looking at what's happening, I feel like the city, the mayor, and the school chiefs are digging in.
2 more questions.
Yeah.
Could it be today? Are you confident that you can get to a deal today, this week?
Based on what the mayor was saying last night, I think she's digging in for a long strike. And if what she's doing is trying to test our resolve, that's a mistake, because we're serious about we need adequacy. We need to be able to walk back in and with a straight face tell our students, the public, and each other that we've won real improvements in the schools. And so the rhetoric is not going to move us in that. The threats are not going to move us in that. The mayor needs to figure out how she can make a deal to reopen schools.
But isn't there a financial problem at the end of the week for Friday when November 1st rolls around and people possibly have to pay COBRA for their insurance?
Yeah, that for us, this is what lets you know that we're serious. There's real financial hardships that everyone back here is. People aren't getting paid. People are thinking about medical bills. People are we're dealing with our own students who, are in public schools. We're dealing with the pressure of, all the parts of our life that we care deeply about, being in front of our classrooms, being back with our students, doing what we love. We're away from that, and that's putting pressure on us. So it's, to be fair, it's not just pressure on the mayor. It's pressure on all of us. That's what a strike is. It's hard for everybody. And what we're saying is, we have a commitment to be reasonable, to work stuff out. When the mayor's team walked away from the table last night, they would do a press conference at City Hall. We were still there, wanting to negotiate. We're going to stay negotiating. We're going to get a fair deal for everyone. We're committed to that. But we're also not going to compromise on the basic standard, which is it good for schools? Is it good for students? Can we hold up our head at the end of the day? Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Are you starting at 9th grade or 10?
Put it in writing. Put it in writing.
Are you starting at 9th grade or 10 this morning?
Bargaining?
Yeah.
10.
10? Okay.
Yeah. All right, guys. Nice job, everyone. Listen, CTU, stay strong. We got to let the city know that it's in the mayor's power to settle a fair contract. She's got to hear that, not just from the union, but she's got to hear from the neighborhoods, from parents, from the public. One of the ways that we can make that clear is when we gather, we're going to be doing some more picketing downtown. So there's going to obviously what we do in the neighborhood is important because of all the horns, all the people who know the school. We're going to be reaching out to those folks, asking them to make calls, to write letters, so let the representatives know that this needs to settle. And then we're going to be ourselves going downtown and meeting to make it clear. There's a handful of issues left, a handful of issues that I know that we can settle with a few more resources. With $38 million, to half of 1% of the school's operating budget, the two sides are apart on money, and a couple of other issues. We can get there. Yep. We need everyone's effort, your presence with your bodies and your voices. Your solidarity has been inspiring to the whole city.
How's the diamonds made?
The whole world.
Yeah, that's
Pressure!
right. The diamonds made.
Woo!
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
CTU! CTU! CTU!
CT who? CTU! CT who? CTU! What do we want? Fair contract! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Fair contract! When do we want it? Now! Yeah! All right.
All right, again, thanks for joining us this morning on Unicorn Riot. John Z here, your host. We got Lorenzo on the camera, Jen operating the back end for us. Thank you so much. So we just heard from Jesse Sharkey. That was the CTU, Chicago Teachers Union president. And one of the points he was definitely making, the city's been putting out a lot of numbers in their press releases, and one of the last ones they did yesterday was saying, hey, we've put an agreement on the table to the teachers union with an average salary of over $100,000 a year. And we just heard from the president of CTU, and he claimed he's got assembled some of the highest paid teachers in the city right here with long histories, with degrees. None of them make close to $100,000. Even with this agreement, from their estimations, they're saying that's really not true, and it's deceptive from what the mayor's office is putting out. And then there's some other small points that they're still trying to work out with the city. The teachers union still says they're standing firm because there's small points. They say it's important points they've been fighting for years, like special education needs, something that they really didn't get in the last strike in 2012 that they were hoping for, something that's been needed in Illinois and Chicago for a long time. In fact, the city's been under monitor for their special needs deficiencies. So it's something very important to the teachers, very important to the people who have been protesting and striking here. So just a few points. Again, the union says there's only about $38 million left on the table of where they need to get to with the city, which is less than 0.5% of the CPS annual operating budget. So to their eyes, it's very small. The city is saying, hey, we just don't have the money, even though they have been inching closer and closer the whole week. The city says it's a $100 million gap. CTU says it's $38 million gap, and that's where they're at. Negotiations are going to begin again today at 10. Again, this is day 12 of the strike. 8th day kids have been out of class. And honestly, unless they come to a conclusion early in the day, class probably won't resume tomorrow because the delegates of the CTU still need to gather and vote to end the strike once any deal is made. On that news about a deal, SEIU, another union which also works support staff in Chicago Public Schools, who has also been on strike, just came up with a tentative agreement with the city last night. According to the president of their union, they are still going to be on the picket lines. We see some SEIU members here today. So they're still going to be on the picket lines with CTU until they get their bargain done as well. And only then will the SEIU members also return to work. How can they return to work without the teachers anyway? All right, let's walk around here a little bit. Maybe we can see if we can find some folks want to say some words to us this morning. Anybody want to say anything about? No? Anybody? No? No?
28% rate. Maybe by the time you're in there. Oh no, wait. I'll stop here.
So what?
The God.
The strike dogs.
The strike dog?
Yeah. They want smaller class sizes for sure.
What else do they want?
Can you give us a little bit of the comments here?
Well, you know, they like dog biscuits, unlimited food and water and exercise, but honestly, though, the biggest thing is the class size. I mean, what does anybody have against class size? Who could sit here and tell me that, oh yeah, why are you fighting for class size? Why do you want kids to have individualized attention? To me, it's really
maybe some people don't know that. Why is that an important issue?
Because not every kid learns the same way. Some kids require more one-on-one support. They require small groups. Some kids will be okay in a large class, and they'll do fine either way, but there's too many that need more individualized attention. With 37 kids in a class, what am I going to do? So it's just, class size is the biggest thing right now.
Now, if they increase the teachers' aides, which is also being asked for, would that help in that situation? Or do they also need to increase teachers' aides and downsize the class?
No, I don't. Okay, I have 36 kids in one of my classes, and I don't want any of them to go anywhere. Like, you know what I mean? But yes, a teacher's assistant in that class would help so much. You know, that would be a huge solution to the problem. Like another adult in the room. You know, that's. But I don't want them to leave. Like, it's like, what am I going to do? Pick who's going to leave? I mean, that's, you know.
Well, what would be the solution in this case then if we are moving forward? Moving forward is make a plan so that in the future we don't have this problem. So like I said, more teachers assistants, you know, in the future, less class size, you know, maybe more classes, maybe less, you know, put a cap on the size. But for now, I mean, we just need to have it in writing that we have a plan, that we did. Every single student in this city deserves a small class size, not just 1/3, which is what the city is proposing to us now. So the city proposed adjusting the class size for only 1/3 of the schools.
They agree that we need to, you know, address the class size issue, which, you know, who wouldn't agree, right? That was my first thing that I said. But they're only allocating enough funds for 1/3 of the city's issue.
So who decides what schools
who gets it and who doesn't? So that's the problem. You know, but
so, do you mind saying what school you work at? Is it right here? All right, right here at Locke Elementary. How long have you been working here?
This is my 5th year.
5th year, and was this your first teaching job?
No, I've been teaching 13 years.
In the city?
Chicago Public Schools.
So Chicago Public Schools the whole time.
Yes.
And were you involved in the 2012 strike at all?
Yes.
What was your experience then? What did you feel after the strike was resolved? How did you feel?
Relief, and you know, but I think that there were some issues that could have been resolved better back then, and like now we're facing it now. So I mean, yeah, I mean, striking, nobody wants to be on strike, but you know, sometimes you got to fight for what's right, for what we need, and that's about it. I mean,
do you know?
necessary.
Do you know a lot of many other teachers that were also involved in the 2012 strike that are still active?
Almost everybody here except for the newbies. So
do you think maybe that's giving you guys a little bit more resolve for this one because maybe you learned some lessons the last time?
Yeah. So
all right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for talking to us. I appreciate it. Very informative. Thank you. Thank you. Got anything to say? Nope. Likes the microphone though. All right. Thank you, Dakota.
There's a bunch of folks at the end.
All right. Let's go walk some more.
More predictable. I left.
Again, thanks everyone for tuning into Unicorn Riot this morning. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, or live stream, we appreciate it. Check us out on Twitter, UR_Ninja. That's UR_Ninja.
Yeah, he's on his week.
And so again, if you're just tuning in, when we first got here, CTU President Jesse Sharkey was here at Locke Elementary School on the northwest side of Chicago, giving some a little press conference and updating the press of the CTU's position right now, which is, from his words, standing firm. And the numbers that they're disputing are we're getting different figures from the CTU and the city still. Lots of horns blaring as they're passing by Locke Elementary School here as we have the picketers here on the corner.
Let's go across really quick and show them.
Okay.
We'll come back. Yeah, follow this one.
Oh, they could.
So again, pretty much all week long and even into the weekend, the city's position is, hey, we just don't have the money. The CTU has to negotiate and compromise because that's how deals are done. And I've heard time and time again from CT members and even some of the speakers, to their eyes, it's not really negotiation. They have some key issues that have been needing fixing in Chicago public schools for decades. That they think that this is their chance to try to get them fixed. If they cave in right now, they're not gonna get some of the protections that they really want. Like, again, special education budgeting and overhaul. The state, it's been a need in this city for a long time. In fact, it's been under monitor.
The network offices have to go. That would be the answer. A lot of funding. Seriously.
What's that?
The network offices are absorbing far too many funds. She's got 37 kids in her kindergarten room. How many, right?
37 kids?
Yep.
So explain what you said, the first sentence, the network.
Network offices.
It's a middleman.
They need to cut.
What? I don't know. For a layman like me, what does that mean?
They're above principal. They're like the board. Their offices where they come with clipboards and tell you what to do. And they're not working with students.
Okay.
And they have huge salaries.
Say that they're instructional support, but the reality is
there's way too many of them.
There's too many of them, and they're absorbing funds. It could be useful in a classroom.
Yeah, what is
I have a classroom that should have 2 teachers. Network offices have people with clipboards coming into the school saying, "Oh, do this, do that," but they're not working with students, and they're making huge salaries.
We just mentioned that to Sharkey. It's got to be addressed. Nobody's mentioning these network offices are the middleman that are absorbing funds that are not directly correlated to children and their learning, and that's not right.
And they just come into your schools and tell you what you need to do, and then walk out. And
correct. The principal should have that.
Thank you very much. It was very informative. Have a great day. Yeah, that is an issue that hasn't been discussed by many people. I haven't heard much before. These network offices that these teachers were just telling us about. Middlemen above the principal and between CPS with large budgets that, from what they were saying, these teachers were saying, are basically doing the job of what the principal could and should be doing. So all that funding could be allocated for teachers' aides and many other things. Which has been the CTU stance the whole time. The money's there in the city. They have to move it to figure out what the priorities are. Who's handing out the free donuts today? Is that your ally? Is that allies bringing you donuts?
Yes.
Yes? Oh.
Yes. We are receiving a lot of support from parents and students that are bringing coffee and donuts for the teachers because they deserve to return to schools. We deserve to go to our classrooms and teach. But unfortunately, we are not getting to a good agreement. I have 21 years serving, and that is not true that we are making $100,000 a year.
Where do you think the city's coming up with that figure? Are they adding in benefits and other things and then how are they inflating that figure?
They are inflating because they are considering the pension for
They're adding the pension into your yearly salary. Who does that? I mean, that's...
If you go to the last contract, you will see all the base pay with the benefits. So if you are adding those things, you are not getting to the number that she is getting, but it's not even close. It's not even close.
And what about, can you comment at all about, like you said, you're a teacher for 21 years?
Yes.
Tell us about the class sizes. I hear that a lot from other people. What's your experience with that?
I was teaching the primary grades. We were having over 29, 30 students in each classroom. So for primary grades, it's a big number. Students in kindergarten, first grade, second, third grade, they needed to have a more in a small settings with a teacher and a helper, but we don't have helpers in most of the cases. So the students are coming with some of them in first grade. They are coming just directly to first grade. They never went to a pre-K or kindergarten because that is the parents' decision. It's not a law. So if they are coming like that, the teachers, we need to address the part of the gaps in learning that they have. So we have to cover 2 years in one.
While you have large classes at the same time. So some of the students in your large class are caught up, and some of them need extra help.
Yes.
And then you have too many to deal with and no help. Is that what an average experience is what you're saying? What, in your estimation, you've been a teacher for 21 years, what would you say a good class size, a manageable class size for primary school?
A manageable class size for a primary grade will be 22 to 25 the most. Depends of if the students are coming from in first grade, from kindergarten, a good kindergarten with a good foundation, and you are moving on. And they are getting prepared. That's why they are seeing that the students are in the 50th percentile and not above. Because they are always coming with a gap. And the gap every year will be bigger and bigger. So whatever you are doing the first year, you are make it up the year before, plus part of the real school year in which they are still. So it means that in first grade, the ones that are not having kindergarten, they are covering kindergarten and part of first grade.
You know, something else.
The real world.
Yeah, right. Something else that's been talked about is adequate prep time for classes. Is that something that affects you, or?
It is affecting everybody in the system, because we are coming. We start at 7:45 here in school. The students are coming at 7:45. We are pushing to come in to the building at that time, which is not fair, neither for the students, neither for the teachers, because we need the time to be ready to receive the students, to prepare the classroom.
Are you saying you come in the building at the same time as the students?
Yes.
That's shocking. Okay.
Yeah,
Go on.
True.
Thank you.
It's true. 7:45, teachers are coming at 7:45. Not everybody is doing that because are more conscious about what to do. I am here in school about 6:40, 6:45 in order to have time to prepare my staff to the class.
So right now, if a teacher was to do that, that would be unpaid. That's on your own time
Yes.
to do any prep work at time. That's really
That
the
is
problem,
our
right?
own-
You're using your own personal time to have to do this prep work.
Yeah, and that is even before the class day or after. If that is after, we are using 1 hour after the students are dismissed, because the student dismissed at 2:45 until we are talking with the parents that it's 3 o'clock. Because some of the parents are approaching the teachers asking, how was the day, how was my child, special things that they are asking. So it's 3 o'clock. You are coming to the classroom to try to put everything back and ready to go home. And when you are going home, you are carrying with everything that you are not finishing in the classroom.
And so you've been here 21 years in Chicago Public Schools, so
Yes.
I'm assuming you were involved in the 2012 strike as well. I know in that strike, it ended about this time,
Yes.
relatively, and there were concessions made on both sides. How did you, walking away from that strike, what lessons did you learn?
From that strike, I learned that we lose so many things. And we were pushing back to do the things like starting at 7:45 in schools. Teachers start at 7:45 with the students. So we are coming in 7:45, we are out there, grabbing the students, punching in, going to the classroom.
So the same issue you're fighting for now, it didn't get resolved in 2012.
2012 didn't help us.
But I do remember during 2012, similar things from the city were being said, these astronomical salary increases and all, and...
They froze the salaries for teachers. In order to have a raise, you should be with 20 years of service. I remember that for that time, I was frozen in year 15. That is my salary, over 15 years. That's it. So that's why they are fighting for the veterans' salary.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That clears it up. The veteran salary got frozen
Yes.
at 15 years.
15 years.
So anybody, you could be working
they-
30 years and no
yes.
increase?
No increase after you are coming. The first increase is when you reach 20 years. Last year I didn't have one. This year I was checking and they moved me, and that is not a substantial raise. What happened in 2012 was that they add to the step 15 letter A, letter B, letter C, letter D, letter E, and F. All those letters. But when you are seeing the paycheck, it's not reflecting the real increase. So that's why the people are waking up with that and making the strike to let them know that we are seeing all those deficiencies. It's not just the money for the teachers, it's the benefits for the students. We are not having enough time to work with the kids because of the amount of students in the classrooms. One teacher with 29 students or 30 students in a lower grade, you cannot make miracles because they need an special attention for direct instruction to work in groups, because you cannot say, okay, this group over here, take a book and read, and I will go with this group over here, because you need to supervise what they are doing too. While you're teaching 5 kids in the table, you need to go back and see what they are doing. They are learning to be independent, yes, but we need to supervise because we need to assess what they are doing.
Makes a lot of sense. One more question, and it might be a little more personal if you don't mind me asking. Why did you become a teacher?
I became a teacher because I love my profession. I was dedicated to it. I raised 2 kids from my own in the public schools. They are professional at this time. One is an engineer, the other one is social worker. I am coming from a family from everybody who was a teacher since kindergarten through university level. So I was seeing how they were passionate for the profession. And when I started with this, I thought this is the way that I can help others, especially because I was having my own kids. And I was thinking of them. If I was thinking, I remember that I was thinking about my son in 1989 to get in school, and I said I want him to succeed for his future life. And then I returned to school thinking that I will do a difference in my students. So when I am talking to my students, I say, listen, this is the real world. If you do this, think about where you will be. So don't think that everything is easy, because it's not easy. Everything is hard to get it. And the students are listening. Many of my old students, former students, are coming back to school to see me and say, oh, Miss Solano, I finished high school. I get this scholarship to be in college. And I said, oh, that's good. So,
well, you know, when you have a teacher that really cares, when you grow up, you realize what that impact was. And I think that's what everyone out here is fighting for. Like, you need to have that energy to give to students. I mean, I asked a lot of teachers to give a very similar question. You're doing it for the passion for the kids, but how do you do that if you don't have the adequate tools to succeed?
I was a kind of teacher that I was trying to adjust to the situations and make up the things that I don't have. I am not asking for them, but I am trying to solve the problems that I am having in my classroom. If I need something, I try to get it, find a way to solve it and do it. Because at the end of the line, my students are the ones that are being suffering if I don't be proactive.
Right. Well, I thank you so much for talking. Did you want to give us your name?
Clara Solano.
Thank you so much. Thank you for speaking with us, and good luck on your fight. All right, thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Unicorn Riot here today. Whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, or live stream, we thank you. And thanks for sharing our link. Again, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we only can do this with support from you at home. And we're doing a fundraiser right now. If you donate just $5 a month, we're going to send you some stickers and a magnet, some free swag, as a thank you to you, because it really helps us out. And anything more you can give is great. If you can't, we appreciate you watching and sharing our link as well. And if you are able to donate, just think you're paying it forward for other people who can't. It'll keep our information free. We have no paywalls, no commercials ever, and we can only do it with your support. And you'll find our link to help us out. Should be in the description of our Facebook, should be on our Twitter as well, UR_Ninja. Thank you.
I really hope Trump tells them to stop.
So again, this is Locke Elementary School. When we first got here, CTU President Jesse Sharkey spoke to the press. Basically said they're standing firm and denied some of the figures the city was giving.
Come on, guys.
We'll give you more information later. We are going to cut the live stream here momentarily. In just a minute here, we have to get to another location. Where there's actually a student led march. We're going to meet up and we're going to try to get there and cover it. They're going to march to City Hall to show the students are also supporting the teachers, and they're going to bring that right to Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago. So we're going to head there as soon as we bring the live stream down. Again, this is Unicorn Riot. John Z. been your host. We got Lorenzo operating the camera today. We got Jen producing the live show in the back end. Thank you so much, Jen. Doing a wonderful job. And I think that's going to do it. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We will stay tuned to Unicorn Riot for more live feeds and more media.